Thanks very much for staying with us. Time now for Eye on Africa with me, Georgia Calvin-Smith. Tonight, fire reignites at South Africa's parliament a day and a half after flames first broke out. A man's due in court this week in connection to the blaze, which destroyed lawmakers' main chamber at the 130-year-old site. Also, Sudan's military's power has grown following the resignation of civilian transitional Prime Minister Hamdok over the weekend. Generals now have sole governing authority as fatal tensions continue to deepen. And he served with distinction. Kenya's president pays tribute to the late conservationist Richard Leakey, who's died aged 77. He spent his life defending his country's endangered wildlife and mentoring and sharing his passion with his countrymen. But first, firefighters are still battling the flames that destroyed South Africa's Parliament chamber in Cape Town after they first broke out on Sunday morning. Emergency workers had thought the fire had been contained before the smouldering coals in the National Assembly building flared up again on Monday. A man's been arrested and is due to appear in court on Tuesday over the blaze. Nadine Theron has more.
Fresh firefighters are relieving those who have been fighting the fire at South Africa's parliament for more than 36 hours now. This after the fire flared up again on Monday afternoon. The Minister of Public Works and Infrastructure, Patricia de Lille, says although some flare-ups were expected from the smouldering coals, they did not expect it to be so severe and to cause such a big new fire. That's why the investigation into the cause of the fire, as well as a summary of the damage caused, will now be delayed and won't be released on Friday, but next week.
The problem come in that there was no monitoring of the CCTV cameras on that fateful night.
It's my opinion that one man could not have started a fire that caused this much devastation without serious planning and some serious tinder.
Engineers have arrived in Cape Town to conduct this investigation. While little is known about these details, a 49-year-old suspect has been arrested and is due to appear in court on Tuesday on charges of arson, breaking and entering, and theft. The suspect was spotted by police on CCTV footage before being arrested. He will be charged in terms of the National Key Points Act. The suspect's motive and what he has taken is still unknown. Many South Africans, most notably the leaders of the economic freedom fighters, have celebrated the fire and called it beautiful. They say it's high time South Africa's parliament is moved to the country's capital of Tshwane. The EFF says keeping parliament in Cape Town is maintaining a pact between British and Afrikaner settlers.
Nadine Theron there for us. Now, the exit of Sudan's Prime Minister over the weekend signals a worrying return to an unchecked military regime. Hamdok stepped down on Sunday, warning that the country was at a dangerous crossroads. Over the last month, at least 57 people have been killed in crackdowns on protests against the generals who launched a coup in late October. The prospect of civilian rule is, for now, dim. Leo McGinn has more.
General al-Burhani is now free to operate as he pleases. Deprived of transitional power, Prime Minister Hamdok preferred to break the pact imposed by the military coup. Reactions on the street of Khartoum have been mixed.
ماشي سهل ما بسيط خدمة البلد والخدمة مع الشعب السوداني كله ما داير حمدوك لكن المجلس العسكري هو ضغط حمدوك وقدم استقالته فالناس دير يعني هنا ما دايرينهم ذات والشعب السوداني كله ما دايرينهم لكن إن شاء الله زمانهم مقرب.
لأنه قضيتنا بقت أكبر وحربنا بقت أكبر ووجوده أو عدمه بالنسبة لنا هسه ما إشكال يعني ما إشكالية.
And images like these will undoubtedly have accelerated the decision of the Prime Minister. Civilians on the ground targeted by tear gas canisters and bullets, more proof of the military repression. In 2019, when he was appointed transitional Prime Minister, Hamdok embodied hope. But on October the 25th, he was evicted and placed under house arrest. His duties were restored a month later, but he had lost the confidence of the people. Hamdok's resignation ushers Sudan into a new period of uncertainty.
In Mali, a major political coalition has rejected the military junta's plan to extend its rule for up to another 5 years. That would have meant postponing the next democratic election to 2026. The army has essentially run the country since August 2020, when military leaders ousted former President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta. Elections due to be held next month have already been postponed, and the country risks sanctions from regional group ECOWAS. The coalition, which rejected the proposed extended transition period, is made up of around 10 parties who say that the new 5-year timetable violates previous agreements and the will of the Malian people. Nigeria says that at least 21 school children abducted in the northwest were rescued just hours after they were taken by armed groups. The pupils were abducted on Friday as they were travelling with their teacher from the area of Bakura to a school in the neighbouring state of Katsina. It's still not clear how many hostages are still being held. Reportedly, captives were originally kidnapped from up to 5 vehicles. And a brutal attack on a village in Kenya's Lamu County has left 6 dead. Homes were torched and several victims' bodies were burned and their hands bound. Police suspect al-Shabaab extremists were behind the raid, but are still investigating other options. Caroline Kimio, our correspondent in Nairobi, has more.
The incident happened in Kenya's coastal region of Lamu County, right at the border of Kenya and Somalia. Out of the 6 people killed, 4 were burned alive, 1 was hacked to death, and another was shot. Lamu County Commissioner Irungu Macharia says that the attack was perpetrated by suspected al-Shabaab militia. However, residents in the area question whether the group was behind the attacks, saying that some of the methods used, including burning, are not typical of the group. They say that instead the attack could have been prompted by land or political issues. Now, attacks by the al-Shabaab in that area have been fairly frequent over the last decade. In 2021, they carried out an assault along the border in which, according to al-Shabaab, 15 Kenyan soldiers were killed. The year before, they conducted an assault on a U.S. military base in Manda Bay, in which 3 Americans were killed. Security forces are conducting operations in the area, and Inspector General Hilary Mutyambai calls for Kenyans to exercise caution and report any suspicious activity.
Caroline Kimia there for us. Now, world-renowned Kenyan conservationist and fossil hunter Richard Leakey has died at the age of 77. From unearthing a series of groundbreaking human fossils to helping to dramatically reduce poaching in the 80s, Leakey's left an indelible mark on Kenya. President Uhuru Kenyatta said that paleoanthropologist has served his country with distinction. Peter O'Brien has his life story.
The son of legendary paleontologists Mary and Louis Leakey, in his youth, Richard Leakey eschewed their line of work. But fossil hunting ran in the blood, and he ended up making a series of groundbreaking discoveries, including the most complete early hominid skeleton ever found, helping demonstrate that human evolution began in Africa. In 1989, he was appointed head of Kenya's National Wildlife Agency, implementing a shoot-on-sight order against poachers that drastically reduced the slaughter of elephants. He also pioneered what became a regular publicity stunt, setting pyres of ivory tusks on fire to make a point that he'd still be making decades later.
Ivory must be seen as only valuable if it's on an animal. It should not be ever seen as a valuable commodity for trade.
When he lost his legs in a plane crash in 1993, he suspected it was sabotage, an attempt on his life. But rather than retreat from the spotlight, he went into politics. After several years in opposition, speaking out against corruption, he got his chance to tackle the issue when he was appointed cabinet secretary in 1999. Always one for bold strokes, he sacked 25,000 civil servants. But his time in office didn't last long, and for his final 20 years, he focused on conservation and philanthropy. Throughout his life, many things nearly killed him. His horse throwing him off aged 11, crocodiles destroying his boat aged 22, his kidneys failing aged 35, and the plane crash. But he never let any of it stop him. Finally, at the age of 77, he passed away in surprisingly unadventurous manner at his home outside Nairobi.
And there are only two northern white rhinos left in the world. The mother and daughter are called Najin and Fatu, and neither can give birth. They both live in the Ol Pejeta Nature Reserve in Kenya, where the last two males, Sunni and Sudan, saw out their last days. Today, conservationists are trying to stop the complete extinction of Najin and Fatu species by using sperm and eggs collected from the animals in the past and using southern white rhino as surrogates. The delicate and complicated process offers some hope in the face of the devastation mankind has wrought on the rarest of rhino.
This one is Fatu, and the other one, which one is behind him, that is Najin. And the one which one is far, that is the southern white rhino. Fatu have run more from the southern white rhino, how to become a little bit aggressive. Yeah, but Najin always behaves so well.
The technology being developed is quite useful, both for the northern white rhinos currently, but also for saving other species that face the same plight. The plan is to undertake it in the next couple of months, if possible. Certainly, in the next 5 years, there ought to be babies of northern white rhino here.
Yeah, but, we are working with the extension each and every day. So as humans, we are the big threat of these animals. We are the one we are destroying each and everything.
Well, that's it for Eye on Africa. Thanks very much for joining us, and do so again if you can. Till then, take care.